Welcome to the Good Enough Lap Guide, the Mazda MX5. This week we're at Winton Motor Speedway. The whole idea behind this video is to give you guys a decent lap. It's not going to be the fastest lap in the world, but it'll be a good enough lap for you to be able to progress through the bottom splits and work your way up to the top split. Then we get into the car characteristics of the Mazda MX5 with the fixed setup they have on it. Entry and middle is going to be oversteer. You need to be really careful with that, especially on cold tires. When those rear tires are cold, will spin out if you go into the corner too fast. And then on exit it picks up understeer, so you want to make sure you have the car fully rotated before you get back on the throttle, so you don't get in that situation where you don't have quite enough rotation in the car, you get on the throttle, you find you're going to push wide, you have to let off the throttle and get back on the throttle again. So those are the two main characteristics of this car. Entry is oversteer, exit is understeer. Alright, let's get into the lap. Alright, coming up to turn 1 here, we're going to be braking pretty late. You're going to be after the 50 board. You'll also see a little access road on the right. That's the end of that is what I kind of use as a braking point. And that'll set us up nicely into turn 1. I don't like to get too aggressive with this curb. I try and arc it out as much as I can, just because if you are too aggressive, seems like the oil pan hits the curb or something. I haven't blown a motor or anything of it, but I'm just kind of wary of that. Again, on the exit of turn 2, curbs on the left, you don't want to touch at all. Basically run your left side tires in between those two sets of curbs. Then for turn 3, this is the braking point. It's about the middle of the third banner from the white strip on the wall. Then we go for a late apex here. It's okay if you run over the curb. Let it float out wide. For turn 4, you can cut in the grass. This lap I didn't, and I really liked the way the car went through the corner. Middle apex, nice and smooth. Now we're coming up to turn 5, which is a double apex. I like to kind of hug the curb here, late apex, let off the throttle. Basically when we get to the apex point, the car floats out a little bit. Come back for our double apex here, which is a little bit on the back side of the curb. I didn't hit it quite perfectly, it was a little wide there. And then we get our late apex here again. Then we'll float out to the middle part of the track here. For this corner, you want to late apex it. You're really hitting the back side of this curb. Here I let the car just kind of float off the line. I feel it gives the car a better attitude as we're coming for our late apex through the back side of the corner. For this corner, really just hug the curb all the way around. I find that's the best way to get around here. And then once we see this Winton sign right here is when you want to start picking up the throttle again. You just have to be really patient and methodic because it will understeer on throttle. So you just gotta wait for that sign to come up. Up here, it's kind of hard to find a braking point. I do drive past the 50 board. This is about where I brake. There is that little grass on the right there, so you can't use that as an indicator where to brake. Here, you want to do a late apex. You don't want to touch the curb. I did touch the curb here, and I had to be very careful when I got back on the throttle, because if you get on the throttle when you do touch the curb, the car will spin out on you there. Coming into turn 11, again, it's kind of hard to find a braking point, but this is where I brake. A little bit past the 50 board. Then we're going to go for a late apex here. You can just barely kiss the curb, it's alright. But you don't really want to drive over the curb. And then for turn 12, I do find a nice direct line to the apex is the best way to get through this corner. If you try and wait to turn in at all, you usually just wash out and you can't hit your apex there. But that is a good enough lap around Winton Motor Speedway. I hope you guys found this useful. If you did, please hit that like button. I appreciate it. And I'll see you guys next time.